What's going on, everybody? So today we are updating the Honda Element with one of the most interesting, cool mods that I've found so far for this car. Stay tuned. One of the things that Honda Elements are known for is space and storage. And what's better than storage? Even more storage. And thanks to Element Antidote and Rob Deasy, we're going to be doing the tailgate mod. That mod is going to add more storage to the rear tailgate of this vehicle. It's not going to be an easy install. It is going to require a little bit of modification, but that's what we're going to be doing here today. So this is the current setup as of right now. This is how the tailgate originally looks. Just this whole space here is going to get cut out, and we're going to put a nice little compartment here. So we've made our marks. From there, from this first line to that top line is about 3 3/4. From that edge line, it's about 1/4 of an inch, and from the top edge line up there, it's about 1/2 inch to that line. So now that we've made our marks, we're going to go ahead and start cutting this plastic. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove a Phillips screw that's right underneath the latch. So this is what it should look like once we have the first panel off. There are a few things we got to take care of, like this internal wiring harness we have to disconnect because we're going to be cutting this sheet metal right out. So before I get started, I'm going to use this handy dandy little trim remover tool that comes in this little case. Has all the accessories that I need to remove any of the plastic clips. So if you guys just want to know, these are the tools I'm using. So the next step that we're going to do is we're going to use this plastic piece as a template to cut the sheet metal. After that, we're going to remove this plastic and go ahead and start cutting into the metal. Next, we're going to go ahead and disconnect this latch here, just because when we cut this, we don't want to accidentally nick it on this side since it runs right along our cutting line. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect that. Just pull that forward, up and down, and it's out of the way. And now, it starts to pry upwards. It should just come down. So we should just be able to pull this forward and voila, easy peasy. We do have our first casualty, which is this camera wire. Sad to say. And just be able to Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cut the adhesive out using this razor pusher. So let's get that done. You're going to have a lot of debris inside from the grinding. My suggestion to you is go ahead and vacuum this out before you start doing anything else.
So here is where I rewired my backup camera. Whoever installed it the first time didn't install it right. They decided to go and do the quick way around versus using the stock access points. So here's what I did. I just stripped everything down and took some extension wire that I had laying around and ran it through the stock loom areas, as you can see here. and now I'm gonna see if I still have a backup camera.
All right, let's go. We still have a backup camera. After hours of rewiring and extending all the cables in the back, I have finished it, and this is what is the result. I did have to extend the rear backup camera. Someone decided just to drill a hole straight through the panel and run the cable that way, but there's not much I can do about that, short of sealing that, getting a grommet. But that is a project for another day. One wire versus the entire wire loom. It's the best I could do. I did reroute the extension for the wire harness for the backup camera through the stock loom, so that looks a lot nicer. Everything else has been extended and pushed back into the rear well, so hopefully we don't have any interference and this doesn't get clipped when I put in the actual metal pieces. We will see. So now that all the wiring has been done, we're going to go ahead and hit it with a little bit of paint so we can avoid rust in the future.
So while trying to adjust the driver's side latch, I broke the clip. Great. But luckily they had replacement clips at AutoZone, so here's the part and part number. So trying to fix the driver's side latch, I decided to bend the rod to give me a little bit more clearance. That way it doesn't interfere as much. To drill these holes, you're gonna need a 1/4 inch drill bit. You're gonna need a T10, I know that says a T9, but it's a T10 that you're gonna need, and a ratcheting wrench. Definitely gonna be a need. One of the things you're definitely gonna need is a vice grip plier. Trust me, you'll need those for the top bolts. So as you'll see here, I put the nut inside of the ratcheting wrench. Then I use the driver to drive it down as far as I can, and then back it out and finger tighten it, and then use the driver to drive it in all of the way. This is basically what you're gonna do for all of them, except probably the top right and the top left bolts, at least for the upper plate. And here's where the vice grip pliers really come into play. I'm gonna have some linked in the description down below because there's no real other way of getting to these bolts without them. So here you're just gonna put 3 bolts across the bottom, tighten those up, and that's basically how you put the latch together. It's pretty simple, straightforward. They only go in one way. The left and the rights are pretty obvious to install. So these 2 holes have been the bane of my existence this entire project. There's no real other way around it, but all you have to do is hold the nut with one finger from the inside out and use the screwdriver to drive the screw in. Trust me, it took so long. It's in another day completely. So I've lost so many washers trying to get these latches in. I'm still fishing stuff out, so just be aware that you are going to lose a couple of bolts going and trying to get these installed. So I highly suggest a magnet. Get a magnet, you're really going to need it. Once that hellish ordeal is over, pretty easy. You just unscrew the top bolt off of your lock and then just yeet it on the ground. Here's another instance of where having some instructions would have been a huge time saver. So all you have to do is bolt the top cover to the bottom cover. Pretty straightforward. The only problem is that I also put screws in where the latch attaches to. So after removing those 4 bolts and screws that we used to attach the cover to the latch, we installed the latches, and remember, the arm is always going to be facing us. That is the correct way, so just be aware of the orientation of your locks. The door only really bolts up in one way, so those 4 bolts that we took off, now we're going to reinstall, attaching them to the latch. It should be pretty straightforward from here, at least as far as getting it attached. You are going to take a little bit of time trying to adjust it to your vehicle, so just be aware that it's going to be a while before you get it perfect. So here you'll see me swap out the lock bolt to a shorter one, about 3mm shorter, just because I was having some interference with that bolt. Once driven all the way down, it was actually contacting the latch arm, so I replaced it with something a little bit shorter. You might not need to do this, but I have to do that, so just a heads up. So here it is, all finished. It looks amazing. I have to say that this product and its tolerances, once adjusted, are super tight and top notch. I love the way this looks, and I love the way it came out. Can't wait to start filling up my storage. And just install one of the last plastic trim pieces. And don't forget to install the lever cap.
So my final thoughts on the tailgate mod, let's see. One, it is definitely not easy. It is not a super difficult mod by card standards. We're not building an engine here. But I'm going to say that it is going to require some technical know-how. One, because it doesn't come with any instructions. Two, because you really don't know what tools you're going to need until you're actually in there. I definitely recommend a grinding wheel, cutting wheel, some vice grip pliers. They're going to be a lifesaver. A magnet, an extendable magnet. You are going to lose washers. I still need to go fish some out of this kit as we speak. And there are a few things that I wish I would have known when I got started. Like, you are going to run into problems. While cutting the sheet metal, I cut through the rear camera wire because it wasn't installed properly. Didn't know it was there, should have checked. Hey, you live and you learn. So if you have a backup camera on your element before cutting into this sheet metal or the plastic, go ahead and check for wiring. Another thing is that I wish I would have known that the driver's side latch for the tailgate interferes with this kit. I did have to bend it to get it to work, and it's still kind of rough, but I did get it to be more or less workable. I would like to see maybe a template or a tutorial as far as someone bending this or having a pre-bent rod, or maybe an alternative for opening the latch on the tailgate. But other than that, this mod does require quite a bit of finger flexibility or some specialty tools that I just don't have. So just be prepared for mistakes. Like I did, I broke the door latch plastic that goes right in the center that attaches the lever to the rod. That broke on me while trying to massage things and adjust things. You are going to spend a good amount of time just adjusting everything, whether it's the door or it's the screws. Everything is going to require just a little bit of attention, so be prepared to set aside some time to get that done. And like I said before, there weren't any instructions, so I did have to look online on some other YouTubers and some other tutorials, but even then there wasn't a whole lot of instruction. Like, I didn't know I was going to run into that interference, and you just kind of wing it. So if you have some technical know-how and you've you've done this before or you've done car work before, you should be able to figure it out. But if you're a beginner and you just have your basic set of hand tools, you're in for a rough ride. I do love the quality of this kit. I am extremely surprised on how durable it is now that it is installed. I've already tested it, and hey, once it's adjusted, it's spot on. There's nothing wrong with this kit whatsoever. A little bit of massaging helps a long way. So I would definitely recommend this to any Element owner because it is more storage, and more storage in an Element is definitely a plus. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or subscribe, or let me know what kind of other mods you guys want to see, because this is just the beginning for the Element. So if you guys have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Yeah, thanks for staying with me, and catch you guys on the next one.